What is going on, guys? It is Zigzag here. Welcome back to another Geoguessr video. First things first, I want to thank you guys very much for 5,000 subscribers. Massive milestone, and we are going so quickly at the moment. So big thank you to everyone who subscribed recently and all the OGs as well. Guys, you can go to my Discord and ask me a question for my 5,000 sub Q&A, which is coming out probably tomorrow or the day after. So yeah, go ahead, ask me a question there if you so wish. Last chance to do so is today. Right, so guys, I have a new world record on my sightlines. I really want to get this Skewed World no moving, panning, or zoom record. Now the current record sits at 16, and we got some good attempts in here. I didn't get too far away, but the reason that the record is so low is because this map essentially points you away from the road. So you're always going to be looking off to the side, and it gets really difficult because without the car meta, without lots of signs or that kind of thing, it's really difficult to actually get the country correct. I've compiled a bunch of my best games from the attempts, not a world record in this video, but some really nice rounds. You're going to be impressed, and I think this one really shows some of the more skilled elements of Geoguessr. So let's get into things here. First one, we starting off with a really nice score. So unfortunately, I didn't take my time with the first two rounds here. Nigeria, just a quick send, and the second one here, I think I could see the language looked to be something like Bangladeshi. So yeah, we get a nice two first rounds, not the best though. The next one's really interesting though. We're looking down at what appears to be a football oval. We've got lots of palms in the background. Ocean to the north, interestingly, but I couldn't quite tell if it was Street View or Trekker, and something about it just led me to Beirut here. Just the way we're looking at the ocean to the north, and it felt like it might be Trekker, 500 meters away, guys. And, you know, that's not an easy round. I could have easily gone elsewhere. And look at the next one, Monte Carlo. I was like, this seed is actually crazy. This could have been, you know, this is the kind of seed where, you know, you're expecting to get an insane score. And, yeah, well, obviously with these short white number plates and the Monte Carlo sign there, it has to be in Monaco, and so I consider it a little longer. We end up with almost 5,000 points yet again, and then we have yellow outside lines here, so we do actually get to see some road lines on this round. You don't always get to see that on the Skewed World, and so yeah, facing away from the road here, but I can tell it has to be somewhere in Botswana or near Botswana, and I think near Gaborone is a good shout here. Looking at it, seems decently built up and whatnot, and we end up with almost 24,000, which is, you know, a crazy score looking at these rounds here. Really pleased with that game, and if only I took more time on Nigeria and Bangladesh, but that's the problem with having the good rounds towards the end of the seed, not at the start. But yeah, still a crazy score. Very pleased with that. I think you guys will be impressed with that, right? Okay, so let's head into the next one here. Really interesting. So it's almost a week since I played some of these games, so I'm trying to remember where I actually guessed for some of them, but we can see that the shadows are being cast to the south, so we should be in the northern. Sun's being cast to the south, but that means the sun's to the north, which means we're in the southern hemisphere. That's right. Okay, confused myself for a second, but yeah, that was a nice New Zealand. Next one, feeling Canadian. I heard that there was red soil on Prince Edward Island. That kind of had a reddish soil, but just ends up being Newfie. The next one, Gen 4, I quickly jump in with a Bangkok here. Looking at it longer, I think I probably switched to Indonesia here. Yeah, it definitely felt more Indonesian than Thai. And the next one, definitely South Africa. This pole over to the left of your screen, maybe actually behind my webcam actually, but yeah, it's definitely a South African pole. So that's what we can say about that. And the next one is probably a more tough one here. So looking to be somewhere in South America, quite dry, a lot of white road lines, which is the really interesting part of this round. So I think my main contention here was Peru. Yeah, I think Peru was the one I was really thinking of, but with all white road lines, I mean, it is rare to get in Peru. Normally you will have yellow centers. And yep, I end up sending it right near the border with Chile and Bolivia, but we move on to 5 here. So record of 16. When you get 5, you're already feeling good about it. And this one is clearly Australia. I know Australian vegetation like that, and I was pretty sure it was going to be somewhere in Western Australia. It ends up being Northern Territory, as I recall. There's not too many trees in the Northern Territory, but in the south of the Northern Territory, but there is certain sections where you get them. This one was a bit tougher. I had like a very rural feeling about it, but I could see that it was probably low cam, so I go for Japan. End up being way far away, but getting it correct. And here's another one. So we are sitting on 7 streak now, actually building up a decent one. And this one, to me, I mean, obviously we only really have these bricks and this power generator, which is quite generic, but to me this round really felt like either Mexico or Argentina. Now, guys, think about which one you like better. I mean, looking at the grass, so here's the thing, the vents kind of remind me more of Argentina, but the grass on the ground reminded me more of Mexico. I think you wouldn't get such grass in Argentina too much, at least. So that's really what you're left with. It's quite a high skill game mode, this one, because you really don't have too much to go off of a lot of the time. I opt for Mexico, and that's correct. So we move on to 8 here, and the next one is a super generic Europe. And I remember some people on my Discord, I can't remember who it was, but just chatting about on Skewed World, if you see cornfields in Europe, just go for Serbia. To be honest, this one definitely did look Serbian, at least somewhat. So I just slam it into Serbia here. I think I do end up guessing Serbia here. Yeah, I knew it could be any country around there. Ends up being a flat Romania, unfortunately. So right latitude, but neighboring country. It's not too bad, but we lose our country streak. But this is the next game. So we lost it on 8 last time. You can see in the top left, top right, it didn't actually reset, but first round here, we go for Slovenia and 14 kilometers away, very clean. Yeah, didn't have time to really look at that one again, but we have a Polish bollard here, so we can go straight in for Poland, and yeah, 144 kilometers away, just a clean round. Next one's interesting, so the sun appears to be to the, it appears kind of to be southern here, but this vegetation looks quite New Zealand-like, these kind of like white ferny things. So you really have to know your vegetation here. I don't really want to get a botanist on the channel. If you know any like online botanist who wants to come on my channel, or if you are one yourself, of course, then and you know your stuff, then I feel like it could be really fun to play this exact map with a botanist, because look at this. You really, if you know your trees, there's no chance you're gonna get this one wrong. Anyway, I think those ferns do look quite New Zealand, so I'm just trying to think where else I could have gone for this one. So yeah, with the sun to the south, I end up going Japan here, and it's correct. So yeah, I kind of thought I was riding with my first decision there, but yeah, with the sun, it didn't make sense to be New Zealand. Then we had a Turkish sign here, so that one was pretty easy. And we move on to the next one here. Mediterranean vibes, got this like kind of pine tree here, but quite a dry climate. So this is kind of the situation we're in. Tough one. I just end up going for Greece, and it's a nice little Greece guess. Right on the border with Turkey there, one of those Greek islands. So quite a dodgy little round there, but we end up getting it correct. So we are now on a 5-country streak, and I'll probably reset it here. Yeah, I do. Okay, so the next one, we've got these like kind of metal poles, and it's pretty safe to go Turkey when you see this kind of dry climate and metal poles like that. Now, I did consider Israel possible here, but yeah, just a southern Turkey. The next one is a tough one. We've got a little black and white bollard there in the bottom left of the screen. A very green climate here. I'm thinking of Thailand, interestingly, off the bat here, because of that bollard. I think you see that one oftentimes in Thailand and Indonesia, but we got Thailand, and it's correct, so interesting one. And this one is one of those classic Gen 3, and you're asking yourself, is it Finland or is it Sweden? That is, of course, the big question here. And yeah, I was just kind of going back and forth in my head, like thinking about the dirt road, mostly just thinking about that architecture and whatnot. Kind of a tough one, looking at the cars in the background. I'm switching between Finland and Sweden. I think with these like super red houses, maybe somewhat more common in Sweden. I know that you can get them easily in both countries, but we moved to 8. So this is really rough. We got 8 and 8 in a row. Just one bad round separating it. Could have been equal with the world record here. Anyway, we face down a really tough one here. More vegetation guesser. A little bit of litter at the bottom of the screen here, but yeah, just otherwise a very generic one. So I'm thinking long and hard. Southeast Asia should be the go here. And I can see like a field in the background just through the trees in the center of the screen. Was maybe thinking of Sri Lanka, yeah. I was thinking of like tea fields in Sri Lanka. Ends up being in Bermuda, so that was a real streak ender there. No shot I was ever getting that. No way, Jose. So here's the next one, guys. We are looking firstly at a lake to our south here. I actually go Norway very quickly there. To be honest, I was thinking better back when I was playing than I was right now. Anyway, this one is really interesting. We've got a rock wall with very green mountains and like a lot of like container ships as well. So my first thought here was American Samoa, and for some reason I couldn't find it, which is quite ironic for how this guess ends up going. So I'm looking in and out, a little bit embarrassing, but there it is. I finally found it, and I'm looking at it, and I found a bay that looks exactly the same. You can see how the there's like the land on either side of the screen, and we're not getting 500 meters away or whatever that was. Very, very close indeed on the same road. So yeah, what can you say? Just a beautiful guess, and just a bit embarrassing that it took me so long to find American Samoa. But I think you guys can agree, like, looking at some of these rounds, I'm playing pretty well at the moment. Definitely the height of my Geoguessr powers at the moment. And, yeah, I think this world record is well within reach for me. So this one, I guess, Lithuania on, and we lose our streak after that. I just wanted to include that, that American Samoa round, but yeah, there's a lot of broken streaks here. And here's another insane guess. I just watched this one back and I was surprised how close I got. So these kind of like stick fences are very common in Latin America, and this kind of grass you could probably see in Mexico and in Colombia, in northern Colombia. And I really like northern Colombia here, just with the way the vegetation was. So I'm thinking way up far north, a little bit further south I go for, and 8 kilometers away, guys. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Look at that guess. Whew. I mean, you know, it's a bit of luck. I plonked it, but, you know, that's an insane guess right there. Come on. And the next one, we immediately surfed up a tough one here. So we've got like a lot of pines. White center line we can see right on the right-hand side of the screen there, quite far away. And yeah, so it is a really interesting one. Hilly, no doubt. Kind of very green grass as well. So I was thinking somewhere in Europe with that white center line that I could kind of make out. Good road quality as well. So I think my main thought here was going to be Spain. So I come in here thinking about northern Spain or northern Portugal. Either one could make sense here. End up going for it, and 112 kilometers away. Very good guess again. Like, not much information to go off of there. And here's another grueling round. So we have like kind of white bark on the trees. Always makes me think more of Southeast Asia, but I'm pretty sure I guessed Southeast Asia and it was wrong here. Oh no, maybe I go for Mexico. Okay, so sometimes I'm watching these back and I'm really confused about my thought process. But yes, I mean, like, the vegetation does make sense for Mexico as well, I suppose. And it is Mexico. There you go. In Yucatan area there. Next one's winter coverage, and with this wooden pole and those American-style school buses, that would really make sense for Ontario, where you have a lot of this winter coverage, very snowy coverage, all along in the far west of the province, like over by Toronto and whatnot. You don't have too much winter coverage, but as soon as you head out into the rural parts, there is quite a lot. So I was looking for a good score here. End up not being too close, but you know, still 4K is good for Canada. And the next one here is pretty self-explanatory. South Africa, I think. I was trying to get the like angle of the sun based on the grass here. Looked like sun was to the north based on some of these blades of grass down the bottom of the screen there. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, it was kind of an easy South Africa round in hindsight, I'm pretty sure. Okay, end up going for it, and we are 198 kilometers away, 22,000 points, and we're on a 5-country streak. So this one had some promise, that's for sure. So 16. You know, when you get to 5, you really do see it in sight here. And this one's a tough one. All we're staring at is some vegetation here and a white rock. This is where botany students would do better than I will, because all I can really see is that it's Gen 3 and it's pretty generic. But I do remember seeing like such rock walls in Guatemala, so Guatemala is my choice here. Okay, I end up going for it, and we are 16,000 kilometers away. I think that was in Philippines. Let's see here again. Yeah, in Indonesia, in Sulawesi, no less. So a very difficult round, that's for sure. Okay, next one. We are starting off here again. Definitely dry, arid. Thinking Peru or Bolivia here. Tends to be one of those two when it looks like this. Around Titicaca, somewhere, I would say. So I end up going for Peru here. Yeah, ends up being very close to Bolivia. You could easily be forgiven for going Bolivia there, I reckon. Next one is easy. We're just looking at a Japanese house with low cam, so no chance of failing that one. This one's more difficult, so think about what we got going on here. Another one of these rock walls. Different kind of trees. You could definitely guess Europe here. I was thinking Latin America though, and I was just feeling Colombia on this one. I go for it and it's correct. I mean, that's the beautiful freedom of when you're only on 3 points. How quickly you can guess and just get really nice guessing. You know, Guatemala without the car is quite an achievement. So here's the next one. Guys, what do you think of it? This one is probably one of the most impressive guesses of the video. So I spent a real long time, I edited a bit of it out, but I spent a real long time looking at this. I was thinking of Israel off the bat, but looking in the top left of the screen, maybe behind where my webcam is, there was a little bit of Latin alphabet. Couldn't make out what language it was, but definitely seemed to be Latin alphabet. So given that fact, I was thinking it feels very dry. It feels very... yeah, it feels kind of Mediterranean, but very dry. So then I was thinking about Tunisia. I end up going for the Spanish territories over in Africa here. It ends up being in Melilla, which is the other one. Melilla? I don't know how it's pronounced, but yeah, my Spanish pronunciation is no good, but regardless, we end up getting it correct, and that was a really impressive guess. It was kind of definitely gettable that it was Trekker, and that's why you could get it, but yeah, I was happy with that. Next one, we have an interesting pole. It's a Brazilian-style pole, but the sections are really small, and I know when the sections are really small, that can be oftentimes in, like, Colombia, but also Ecuador. They kind of have the shorter sections, so Ecuador was my thought here, and because it was very dry, you guess out near the coast where it's kind of more arid, and yeah, so I was actually relatively confident here, and I'm going for it. Super close, guys. So another really nice seed, some really tough rounds like Guatemala, Ecuador, you know, really tough stuff, and that Spanish one. So that might be one of the most impressive seeds of the whole video for sure. And the next one, my first thought, no joke, was New Zealand here. As I looked more closely, it definitely has to be Colombia or Ecuador. It's just the way the mountains look, the way the trees sit on the mountains, the green grass, the kind of wooden fences again. So I end up going Colombia here. Just send it in 88 kilometers away. Very clean guess. Probably a bit green to be Ecuador, all things considered. I don't know really if I could describe that any better than that. Okay, next one we have Thai poles and a separated concrete road, so not really sure why I'm taking so long here. This is an easy Thailand. I guess I was considering Laos. Laos would have also been possible, but yeah, Thailand it is, and we are Gucci. And then we also have some Japanese bollards here with a low cam, so we move from 7 to 8 very swiftly, and we are feeling good about the game so far. So next one is probably the more interesting seed, round of this seed, and we have like a black number plate, or at least it appears that we might have a black number plate on that Ford Focus over there. Also, this little bin thing in front of the house over here, that is very Latin American, so immediately was thinking Latin America based on that. And then yellow centered lines, so not going to be Chile, or at least probably not going to be Chile. And these houses, they felt strange. And I was looking at that light pole. Also, Diona was telling me about these like strange Argentinian light poles with that kind of angle. So I was thinking Argentina here, but I wasn't really sure where. Bahia Blanca kind of seemed at least somewhat possible. Was not really sure. But yeah, the architecture was strange. It was like a weird hodgepodge of like North American and European and Latin American. I really don't know what I would have made of this round otherwise, but we go for Bahia Blanca, ends up being all the way down in the very far south of Argentina, and then we get a killer round here on number 9. So, if any of you guys can get this correct, put the timestamp in, put your guess in if you so wish, play along with me. If you get this correct, I will be highly surprised. It was not the country that I was expecting, so do give it a think here. So my main thought was Spain here. I was also thinking Italy, but more so Greece was possible. Greece was certainly my second choice, easily here, but I just thought there were probably too many places in Spain that looked like it, and it was Jordan. Northern Jordan, north of Oman. Israel I could see, but Jordan, that is just so hard. But yeah, what can you say? Anyway, here we have a Ghana to start us off with, and this seed also has an insane guess in it, so stay tuned. Here we have what really confused me off the bat. The house kind of looked North American. The kind of cobble pave kind of looked maybe European or Australian or something. But ultimately we have a holy pole here, and occasionally you do get such holy poles in New Zealand, so I eventually figured it out. It was just in Auckland, which would have been a better guess because it was quite built up there. And here we have another New Zealand, kind of tell by the grass. I was thinking Australia here, but the trees close look kind of New Zealandy and look 4 kilometers away. We're basically at the nearest road there. That's a plonk, boys. That is a nice guess. Stuff like that makes me think I'm going to get this world record in not too long. I'm just saying. Okay, so the next one here we have like kind of a red grass. We've got like these palms, which are much more common in Malaysia than in Indonesia. And with the red soil, I was really thinking up north here, but it wasn't too mountainous either. So, okay, did I go there? Maybe no. I think I switched my guess over here later on over to more to the east. Yeah, okay, it was over to the east. There must be just a different round where I actually got that correct. But the next one here, for me, was an absolute toss-up between Indonesia and Cambodia. For some reason, they were the two countries that came into mind here. I think it was the red roof, which is probably also behind my webcam, but you can probably see a little bit of it. That red roof really kind of screamed Indonesia or Cambodia, one of the two. And so we go Indonesia and it's Cambodia. How unfortunate. That's just kind of the way this map works sometimes. Okay, here's the one where I go Eastern Malaysia. Very quickly, I work it out, and check it out. This one's a really nice guess. I mean, it's not easy to get that close. 57 kilometers away. It feels like a really nice guess to me. The next one we have Maltese number plates. So yeah, it's pretty easy. I eventually work it out and head on into Malta, which sometimes I can't find properly, but yeah, I assume we should be somewhere around Valletta here, and we are. Next one is one of those hard kind of Denmark or Norway toss-ups. In the end, the architecture fits more with Denmark, and we actually kind of see a Danish flag as well, just off to the side there. So next one is looking like it has Spanish on the signs, and the sun should be more so to the south, because of the way the shadows are being cast here. So it's just a matter of me working all that out and going for Spain here. End up going for Murcia, and it ends up being a little further south, but actually a really nice guess there. Impressed with how close I got. So at this point, I don't know if you guys realize this, but we were on track for a 24.5 on this map. Yeah, so I don't really know what the high score for this map is, but that could be the high score, to be honest. And so I really wanted to figure this one out. I really wanted to give all the time I could to figure this one out. So unfortunately, round 5 was a really hard one as opposed to the rest of the ones this seed. I go for Colombia. After considering Mexico, I consider all of Southeast Asia, I consider Hawaii. I've edited it out about 3 minutes there. We still get 23.1, which is a pretty nuts score, all things considered. But look at those first 4 rounds. If only I nailed Colombia, we would have had 24.5, which would have been just crazy. So we're on a 5-country streak at this point. I believe this one is one of the last ones for the video. And 5-country streak, again, like it's just, I like the shorter records, and this is definitely an example of one of those where, yeah, well, as soon as you get 5, you're in contention, you know? So this one is interesting. We have a black and yellow guardrail here, which immediately makes me think of Botswana, because often they paint their signposts black and yellow as well. But yeah, I was kind of worried about South Africa as well. End up being super close, near Gaborone there, so just a chill round there. Our next one is interesting, I think. So looking at this one, okay, I was actually thinking Peru off the bat, but you can see this little blue sign here on the house actually is a Turkish style sign and actually has a bit of language that seemed Turkish to me anyway. And so we kind of get saved here. I could have made a very silly guess. In the end, I don't. And yeah, just end up going southern Turkey here. Okay, so we guess, and we are 400 k's away, but in Turkey indeed. And here's the next one. So 7th streak now. And this one should be an easy round. We have quite a lot of population. The amounts are not too big, but I spent quite a long time tossing up whether it is Faroes or Greenland here, because it is the Faroese car, but I couldn't quite make it out, and I was not entirely sure which one it should be. So I pretty much scoured for a while here, all down and up the Greenland coast. And by the time I decided that it probably wouldn't be, I went in to look for Faroes here, and you'll see I end up getting the right town here. But yeah, sometimes car metas can be a bit frustrating, because as soon as you're not quite sure, it causes you to make irrational decisions. Okay, so just comparing the map to what we see in real life, this bay, and I can see that round bit to our east there. Okay, just being extra cautious, but we end up 800 meters away. It was indeed the right town. And here's our next one. We're greeted with a North American truck and rather green grass and kind of generic looking round here. The number plate was a bit concerning. I couldn't quite make out whether it was no number plate or kind of a blackish looking number plate. Looking at the houses, they felt more Canadian to me. So I was considering that Alaska would be a possibility here. Given that it looks so flat to the south, that kind of rules out a lot of places in Alaska that it could have actually been in the first place. Because you can see even a place like Homer, you probably would be able to see those mountains way in the background. So in the end here, I do opt for Canada. The architecture just seems to fit better, and I'm not really sure about that plate, so I don't really let it factor into my guess too much. End up going for it. It's a fair amount further north and in Alberta, but we get it correct. And here is the final round of the video, guys. Very interesting, like, little tree plantation here. I can't tell if they're growing pines or something, but they're also tiny. And it's actually kind of hard to tell. Maybe it's just a different crop. But yeah, that's what I was kind of left with here. These very like distinctive, like kind of, well, I wouldn't say distinctive, but very interesting looking kind of flat, dry mountains that kind of jut out at random here. And the choice was between Peru, Bolivia, and Arge here. I was really quite liking Northern Arge, but I really thought that either one of the three was very possible. And so I was just looking for anywhere where you could see these kind of mountains to the north like that. I ended up liking kind of like a very far north Arge here, which should really have set off some alarm bells in my mind, really, but yeah. And so we go with Argentina, ends up being Bolivia. So we end up the streak on 9. So you guys see that we are yet to end up getting a 10, which will be exciting. I promise you guys for the next episode, I will get a 10 at least. And yeah, there'll be more insane guesses to come, no doubt, because I'm enjoying running this and I want to get another world record, want to get my name on the sheets once again. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, thanks very much for watching. Do smash like, and I appreciate you guys who make it all the way to the end. Massive thank you for 5,000 subs once again, and I'll see you guys in a video very soon. Goodbye.